Hello and welcome to today's video. So this time we're going to be taking a look through the new ArkOS operating system on my RG351M handheld. Now these work on the RG351M or the 351P, and it's just a brand new sort of front end and a way to keep a hold of all your emulators and all your game ROMs, and it's just got this beautiful interface which is running on top of RetroArch. So that's what we're going to be having a look at today. So sit back, relax, and let's get to it. Right then, so let's just have a look and see what happens when we fire up the RG350M. So this is now running ArkOS, as you can see. So let's just see. It takes a few seconds for the system to load in. There we are. It's got the build number there. Boom, boom, boom. Running emulation station underneath and RetroArch, of course. There we are. So I cannot tell you, having had a little peek at this, just quite how good this is compared to the version of Emulec that you get actually on the device. Now that is a great option, do not get me wrong, for people who don't really have the time to fiddle around and get a card organized and flash the this software to their own RG351s. But if you have got a bit of time, and there's some great tutorials out there, and I will link to the one that I used, it's definitely going to pay off because you've got a lot of stuff here. So virtually every emulator under the sun is there. Some of them I haven't got any games for, but some I do have a lot. So I've got the screen set to 100 and I've got the volume up as well. So we can nip into some of these just to have a little tease. But what I wanted to do is just to show you exactly what is supported by ArkOS system-wise. So it opens up with the Commodore Amiga, and any sort of games that you've got, it lists the games that are in the library in the side there. So let's just have a look through. So Amstrad CPC. Well, I wasn't such a huge fan of Amstrad, but the games are a little bit easier to play on one of these than, say, the old ZX Spectrum games. But there's a lot of games there. Arcade Classics, well, that's obviously sort of MAME games. And you could just sort of select them here and it will go through them. And you can just see this, well, 8,000 in fact. Let's just turn the volume down a little bit. So you can see there's loads in there. These are the Capcom specific arcade games. So you've got Capcom 1, 2 and 3. There's MAME, so it's another arcade emulator. So if one doesn't work, you can probably get one working on another one. The Atari 800. I popped a few games in there. I haven't actually tested them yet. So we got Bruce Lee and Zorro, which are the two I loved when I used to have an Atari 800 XL. Then you've got the 2600, the 5200, which wasn't actually released over here in the UK, and the Atari 7800. The Atari Lynx handheld, that's the complete ROM set there, 96 games. Absolutely fantastic little handheld that I loved it to bits, but it would just eat your batteries to death. That was the slight drawback, but still a fantastic system. Wonder Swan Color, PC Engine, Famicom, and the original NES. And that's pretty much all the NES games that you would imagine are in there. This is quite nice. So this one, my NES folder did include box art. So that's what you can see here. Just get a little bit of the box art, which is cool. Atari 7800. Another quite fun system, that one. The Wonder Swan, there's another little portable. Never really took off over here, but has its fans. And there are a few half-decent games, but you do sort of need to know your Japanese, shall we say, to work out what's going on. The PC Engine, so I'm looking forward to diving into this. So obviously I had the PC Engine on my RG350, but it just, I don't know what it is, but maybe it's the screen, I don't know, but got a newfound love of some of the PC Engine's fantastic shooters and schmucks, and I'm really itching to sort of go in and work my way through them. So yeah, very much looking forward to diving into the PC Engine. Cool stuff. The Famicom, the Nintendo SNES, Nintendo 64. I've had a little blast of these, and some of them play absolutely fine. I put a few of my favourites on here to give a try, but I think performance is a little bit mixed. But one great thing about ArkOS is that underneath it's running the latest version of RetroArch, which has got all the most up-to-date emulators and cores on. So compatibility is going to be fantastic. Virtual Boy, boy oh boy, was I delighted to see this. I used to have a Virtual Boy, bought it in the 90s. I got rid of it now, sadly. It was just giving me headaches, so I couldn't really play it long term. The games I absolutely loved were Space Invaders and Mario Tennis were the other ones. Is that on here, Mario Tennis? Yeah, they didn't actually make very many for the Virtual Boy, but those were the two I absolutely loved. And boy, it plays brilliant. I mean, absolutely fantastic. Game Boy. So as I said, we'll go into all of these systems in a lot more detail in future videos. This is really just a first look at ArkOS. The Game Boy, this is just good as well. So you've got Mario there, and because the Game Boy was black and white, Mario is black and white. Look at that. And you got all your Game Boy games. Bit of cover art on most of them here. And you got the Game Boy Color. So you see he's black and white, now he's into colour. And then you've got the Game Boy Advance, which, you know, just plays absolutely fantastic on this system. This is, you know, better than an original Game Boy Advance, basically. So great stuff. Game & Watch. So finally, I've got something which plays the Game & Watch. To be honest, the emulate, the software that came with it, I got some Game & Watches working, but this one's got the full ROM set on. Although there were 59 Game & Watches, they're not all here. It has got some of the other different ones which came from different publishers, but most of the original Nintendo Game & Watches are on here. I found them okay to play, but the double screen ones, this screen is too small, but this is perfect for a single screen Game & Watch. The Sega Master System and the Mega Drive or Genesis, the Sega CD and the 32X. I remember having a few 32X games, they were pretty cool. And you've got the Star Wars arcade one, that's excellent. Dreamcast, so I popped a few Dreamcast games on there. I think performance, shall we say, is variable. I am going to do a video where I get at least 10 decent Dreamcast games that I think run okay, and I'll put those into a forthcoming video. The Sega Game Gear. Now, this was around the time of the original Game Boy, and although I didn't mind it, I had a Master System, so I didn't really get into the handheld. Even today, I don't really like it. One of the highlights, of course, was Outrun. I was just wondering if Outrun doesn't look like I've got it, but if you get the Game Gear Outrun, that's a pretty cool one. Neo Geo. So this was a hell of a system. Obviously, a lot of them were arcade ports. I had the Neo Geo Pocket Color, but the Pocket and the Pocket Color are both really good. The Pocket Color has got a superb version of Sonic on it, which is just cracking, of course. A couple of Metal Slugs as well, which is another one of my super favourites. Let's just see if this one's got Sonic on. I'm sure it has because I played it on my RG there. Sonic Pocket Adventures, yeah. And it's got the Jap one as well. I played this one on my old RG350. PlayStation, absolutely fine on this system. It handles PlayStation games really, really well. So I put some of my favourites on there, but there's loads to come. And I will do some original PlayStation specific games in the videos in the future, because there's so many great ones that I want to show you. And now that we've got the two directional sticks here, we're going to be in heaven. You know, all the tricky games like Tomb Raider and that are going to be much easier to play. So PSP, once again, I think the jury's still out on PSP games. So I've got a few that I've whacked on myself, and I haven't really had much chance to run through them. I tried launching Metal Slug, and it didn't get past the title screen. I have already tried Everybody's Golf, and I know that one works, but Outrun I think was a bit slow as well, and Space Invaders, that'll be okay. But once again, I think that's going to involve a more specialist deep dive to see how we get on with that one. PSP Minis, they're all pretty much fine because they're much smaller games, so you won't have any sort of issue running any of those. In television, another great little system. It's got its highlights. They're not all brilliant. Vectrex, absolutely love it. Love the Vectrex. It's the complete ROM set, including Tour de France, which was only ever came out as a prototype, but it's brilliant. MSX and MSX2, never really got into those ones. There's a selection of Sinclair games, but they're just so difficult to run on this that it's not really worth bothering with. Similar to the C64, unless they've been optimized to work with this sort of a handheld, you ain't going to get very far with it. So I almost would say just don't bother. I've got them on here as a proof of concept. I've basically got my entire ROM collection on here, of older systems at least. Doom, so there's 11 versions of Doom and some of its variants. I love the Aliens one. I used to play that back in the day. You got Brutal Doom, Call of Doom, Doom 2, Eve Eternity, GD, Heretic, Hexen, Nova, and Valiant. All worthy additions, and there's lots out there that you can just add to your own library here. And that's the thing I should say. So with ArkOS, when you've installed it, which does take a bit of time, I mean, it took me a couple of attempts as well because I'm doing it on a Mac, but it will create on your memory card a ROMs folder with all the different systems already populated, easy ROMs, and you just open it up on your computer, be it Windows or PC or Mac, and just drag and drop your ROMs into it, and you're good to go. You just have to remember to put them into the correct sort of formats. Ports, so it's got some of the more well-known game ports on here. Cannonball, Cave Story, Doom 2 again, Easy RPG, which is in itself got a load of stuff, Half-Life. So it was the ports, and then we've got Scum. These are the ones which are like The Secret of Monkey Island, for example, the Lucasfilm video point-and-click adventures. I've not got any of those in my library. Then you've got the options for configuring the emulator itself. You can update it online, so once you get it connected to your Wi-Fi, you can do Wi-Fi updates, which is pretty cool. I haven't got mine online yet, but when I do, I'll be able to start scraping for box art for the missing games. There's your retro art folder if you wanted to go into there, and then you've got favorites. There's a few that have been set up as favorites and more recently played. And then you're back to the start again. So how cool is that? I mean, really, that is quite something, isn't it? So there's an awful lot on here for you to enjoy. Now, it will take a little bit of time because each different sort of emulator has got its own settings. So you're basically going to need to go through every single one of these and set up how you would like it displayed. But apart from that, it's pretty darn good, you know. The SNES, once again, it's a complete ROM set. It's fantastic. Just brilliant. One game I've been playing an awful lot of on here is Arkanoid. Do It Again. This was the sequel to Arkanoid. I remember playing it in the arcade and I just love it. And we'll just look at this one last video while we wallow in just quite how good ArkOS is. Now automatically it has stretched on all the emulators. It does stretch the image to full screen, but in a game such as this it doesn't matter too much. There we are. It's not a million miles from where the arcade was anyway. So there we are. I'm going to just sit down and play about an hour's worth of Arkanoid because I just love this game. I hope this has inspired you to go out and get an RG351. Now I have put some links. If you're in the UK, you can buy one from a company called Droix. They're based in London. They're amazing. Don't forget, you don't have to buy the RG351M. You can buy the 351P, which is much cheaper, and it's got the plastic shell instead of the metal one here. Although I do recommend the metal one because it's so good. Really does feel fantastic in the hand. So I put links to that below. You can also pick these up on Amazon with a preloaded card with even more games than the one that comes with it by default. And once again, there's links below. There are even people on eBay where you can pick up RG351s with or without ArkOS already installed. So all you got to do is just put the card in and hit fire and start it up. But as you can see, there's an awful lot of good stuff to enjoy on this little handheld. If you've enjoyed today's video, do please give it a thumbs up. Do please consider subscribing. I'm going to try and do regular RG351 videos every week if I can. I do cover a lot of other things on the channel, but retro gaming is something that I've always loved, and you're going to see a lot of it on the channel. Darn it. So do hit that subscribe button if you've not already for regular content. Thank you very much for watching today, and I shall look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye.